Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you for joining us for today's webinar about how The Ohio State got A's on Service Catalog Delivery. My name is Mike Malcanjo, and I'm a product manager here at ServiceNow. Joining me today are Emily Smith and Jeff Schupp, who are systems engineers at The Ohio State, and will be sharing their journey with us, talking about their experience with the Service Catalog and request management, and also demoing some of the amazing capabilities that they have built. Before we get started, I have just a few housekeeping items. Today's presentation will be followed by a brief question and answer session. If you have a question during the webinar, please feel free to submit them by way of the Q&A panel located at the right-hand side of your screen. Additionally, we will be recording today's event. Everyone will receive an email with a link to the webinar recording in a few days, and it will also be posted to the community. So with that, let's get started. Well, today we're going to review what a service catalog is and how some of our customers use it, and then we're going to jump right into a customer story and demo with The Ohio State, followed by Q&A. So first up, let's talk about ServiceNow. For those of you that aren't familiar, we are the enterprise cloud company. We're modernizing and transforming the enterprise. We've seen some amazing growth in the past 5 years. We're now at over 2,600 customers and 3,100 employees globally, with major sites in San Diego, Silicon Valley, Amsterdam, London, India, all over the world. This growth has been fueled by strong revenue numbers that you can see to our right and by our passionate customers. So when we're talking about self-service, we're largely talking about a couple of different things. We're talking about, for the requester, anywhere, anytime access, modern interfaces, and the ability to get self-help anytime, anywhere. For the providers, it's all about visibility and reporting, quantifying and categorizing their work via structured requests and reporting, and routing that work to the appropriate people or automating it whenever possible. Our approach to self-service has largely been inspired by the things we use every day, Facebook, OpenTable, Amazon, and bringing those things into our enterprise world. Because those things that we use in our private lives are the same kinds of things we want when we're doing our work. So today, we're really going to focus on the Service Catalog. But first, what is the Service Catalog? A real basic definition would be something like it provides a customer-facing view of available services. It describes how those services are to be consumed, the business processes that they enable, and the quality of service to be delivered. At ServiceNow, this usually takes the form of an actionable catalog. And what that means is it's the Service Catalog plus workflow and automation. So we see customers defining their services, but then also building out the requestable portion of them. We also see our customers leveraging the powerful capabilities of the CMS to brand and stylize their catalog to look exactly like their own external sites and their own branding. One of the companies that's done this really well, or institutions, I should say, that's done this really well, is The Ohio State University. Jeff, would you like to go ahead and introduce us to The Ohio State University?
Yeah, sure. So Emily Smith and I are from The Ohio State University. We're a public university founded in 1870. We have a little over 90,000 users that we support. Third largest university in the United States, and we have 5 branch campuses to support along with our main campus in Columbus.
So before we started our self-service and service catalog, we really wanted to illustrate some of our pain points or problems we wanted to fix in order to outline our goals. And some of those were that people really had a restricted access to information. There was no online source people to go to at any time of day to get the help they're looking for. And because of this, this really put a large strain on our service desk. They were our one entry into getting help from our RT organization. So they were very overworked and very busy. With that, since we had no online presence, we had no ability to do any sort of automation or automate any of our request items. So that really was a pain point because everything was manual. The burden was really placed on the customer. If they wanted more information about their ticket, how it was doing, what state it was in, they would have to call up the service desk and then go through that loop and chain of trying to find the person that worked on it or the right item. And there was no easy way for them to just go online and see that some quick updates about what's going on. And with that, we really had really no device compatibility. With no presence online, we couldn't cater to mobile devices or desktops, laptops, tablets, anything. It was all really just through your phone. So this is a brief project history of our entire self-service. We started with ServiceNow, I believe, in December of 2010, and that June the following year we released just a very basic PHP form on a server that was not on ServiceNow. All that would do is collect your username, a little bit of information you wanted to share with us, and then send an email to ServiceNow, and then through inbound actions, we would create either a request item or an incident. In 2011, we started our first self-service development and launched that in June of 2012. That was received very well. That was kind of our first stab at self-service, and it really took us a giant leap in the future. And then this, I believe in 2014, Jeff and I started our redesign, which was the main goal was responsive web development to make it available for all devices. And that launched in 2014. With this project, there was, I think, 6 developers in total, but usually we only had 2 working in the code at one time just to keep things kind of simple.
So when Emily and I started our self-service redesign in July 2014, we really wanted to focus on the user experience. And what that meant to us are these 5 E's. Efficiency, effectiveness, engagement, ease of learning, and error tolerance. These were the 5 key areas that we identified as really important, and we tried to keep these in mind when designing all of our self-service in our service catalog. So now, we'll actually jump into our service catalog. And here it is. This is our front page of self-service. Right now I'm logged in. Here we'll see the kind of responsiveness that we had in. Here's what it would look like on a mobile device. And then if I make the screen a little bit wider, this is what it would look on a tablet. And notice we're at the same website. We didn't go anywhere else. We weren't transferred anywhere else. We're still on the same website. Now we'll go into the service catalog.
So this is our service catalog. We started to do kind of some blanket categorization to try and make it easier for you to funnel down to the topics you're looking for. We coupled icons with titles, trying to make it as user-friendly as possible for people who might not know quite what they're looking for. Hopefully, if you have a little bit of an idea, the icons and the quick text will help you. On the right, we have a nice quick filter, which you just type in something like mail. You can see any services relevant for mail. You can also click student, faculty, staff, and then those are our 2 main IT departments if you wanted to see services that are just applicable to those specific user groups. That is controlled by roles, so whenever a person is rolled on to our ServiceNow, they either get a student role, student employee, faculty, or even department OCI level roles. So it just depends on what kind of level of access you may have. These services are all pulled from our service offerings table, so they're all CIs as well. And then if we were to click on a particular category, so this is the category view of a group of services, just a little bit deeper, but still broad enough where you could quickly go through all of them trying to find what you need. We keep the same look with the right bar to kind of keep it consistent. You can see the tag internal service only, so that would appear if you were one of our ITIL users, meaning that even though you can see this item, people that are outside of our organization and the rest of campus wouldn't be able to see this, just in case anyone sees something that they think shouldn't be there. It's an extra flag to let you know this is still private. Another nice piece is the also known as feature. So most students know email on campus as Buckeye Mail, so that gets searched for quite a bit. So searching Buckeye Mail and not email students, you would still find this service, which is really what they're looking for. So this is an actual self-service view, service offering. One thing we did this time was we teamed up with our marketing team, and they did these really nice images for us at the top. It gives you kind of a quick look at what this service is about, kind of an advertisement style, to get you interested without having to do a lot of reading or a lot of understanding. You just right away know, okay, this is a student email. This bottom portion here is controlled by our service management person. She puts in all this information about more technical stuff like pricing, considerations, the SLA specs, so that if you wanted to request a service, you would know exactly what you're getting. Our right bar has a few configurations with other parts of our self-service site. The yellow Request a Service button goes to our request catalog. So if you were interested in purchasing the service or ordering the service, clicking that button would take you to a request item or a group of request items where you could easily order it. And then the blue button on the bottom integrates with our system status page. So whenever we have an event on campus, whether it's an outage or a degradation, we publish that system status page, letting people know what services are at what status. And then what we do as an extra feature is we let people know if it's of the event, like when it occurs. We send out any updates that the service desk might push, and those go out via both phone and email, depending on your preference. And then we'll also send you a note saying this event has ended and we resolved the issue. So if we go over to our request catalog, you can see we have one item for this service, which is a name change, which happens, fairly often. If we go back just to our main page on Order Services, which is our home for request catalog, you'll see it looks very similar to our service catalog. We really wanted to keep a very standard look. We're always trying to implement very standard pieces with our self-service to just use over and over again for quicker development and just to make it easier for the customer. We have a search bar on the right, a shopping cart, and then on the bottom we have some popular services. So if most people just want to find something easily and quickly, hopefully one of those can fulfill their needs. If not, they can start drilling down into the different categories, which again, very similar to service catalog.
So Emily, two questions coming in from the audience, loud and clear. The first one is, was this developed internally, or did you work with a vendor partner to develop these capabilities?
Jeff and I developed most of this ourselves. The only thing that's not, I guess, custom on our side is the iframe, but all of it's in-house.
Fantastic. And the other one is this Enterprise or Express?
This is Enterprise.
Yeah, I thought so. Just wanted to get those questions out of the way. So
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, and I'll hand it over to Jeff. He's going to show off some of our analytics stuff.
Yeah, so here is our Google Analytics page. We really wanted to see how people were using our website. Do we make it easy enough? Are people finding the information quick? And really, how are they getting that information? Where are they going? What are they clicking? That sort of thing. So we coupled this with Google Analytics, and so here it is. It was super easy to implement. And after the first day of implementing it, we started getting a lot of information. So here's our overview. And right here you can see it's just for this month. So all this data you're going to see is just for this month. So we've had over 40,000 sessions with 30,000 people. The average duration is about 1:49, which I think is pretty good. And they go through less than 3 pages. So we really wanted to model our self-service after kind of Apple's philosophy of get where you're going in less than 3 pages. If you can't get there in less than 3 pages, it's too hard. So this really showed us, hey, we're actually doing it. People can get to the information that they need fairly quickly. And so if we go down further, you can really see Google Analytics pulls a bunch of info. So you can do languages. I think this is interesting, the system. So this really means desktop, laptop, kind of. I think maybe tablet as well. What kind of browser are they using? You can see Chrome far and away is the most popular, followed by Safari. Operating systems, Windows, Macintosh. What's cool here is
iOS number though. Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's even worse on mobile. So you can tell iPhones dominate the market. So you can kind of get a bearing of what you should look at first. So you probably shouldn't look at Opera first. You probably should check to make sure it works on Chrome and Safari and Firefox and IE, and you can kind of see in what order you need to look at things to kind of tackle the most users.
Right.
Google Analytics has a really cool real-time feature. So this is live data. There are 10 people on self-service right now, and this is the pages they're on. So 3 people are looking at our system status page. If you go down further, you can see where, which is really cool. So Latin America, that's cool. And you can kind of drill down in this information. So I always like looking at this. It's pretty cool. Here's an audience. Oh, that's that. So another cool part is, behavior overview. This page really shows where people are going. So if we look, lots of knowledge base articles. A quarter of the people, they go to our self-service are looking at knowledge base. Here's the catalog category, so our service catalog in our homepage and whatnot. So you can actually drill down into this and say I want to see all of the people that are looking at our service catalog. So service. Oops. So you can see service. So in the month that this is looking at, we've had over 6,000 people look at our service catalog, and you can kind of see what they're looking at.
So Jeff, are there any
cool.
particular insights you've taken from looking at these pages and kind of seeing what the flow is here?
Yeah, definitely. There's a really good thing called behavior flow. So I think our service manager person, the person who actually populates this data, kind of takes away, okay, what services are being looked at and what needs help? What are people
Searching for.
Yeah, searching for, and what are they not searching for that we thought they would be? So here you can kind of see what they're looking at. So it kind of highlights, well, I thought they would be looking at wireless more, for example, but they aren't. So what's going wrong with it? What am I not capturing in that service that people are looking for?
Yeah, is it harder to find? Is it a tool problem? Is it a data problem?
Yeah.
Is it a service
Right.
problem? Is it not a good service? You want to look for it?
Yeah, so this kind of highlights what are people doing.
It's a really, really insightful view of how the traffic is flowing through the site. That's great.
Most definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
You could definitely spend a lot of time going through these
Yeah.
pages. There's just a ton of data.
Yeah, so here you can see our referral, or people typing in our URL directly, or is this an organic search? So you can really see, if you're trying to promote your service catalog, you can see maybe a before and after kind of effect here with marketing and whatnot.
And do you find yourself
Yeah.
making tweaks to the pages as you, or recommending tweaks to the pages as you kind of explore these analytics and seeing where people are going, or what people are actually hitting, those kinds of things?
Most definitely, yeah. I don't know if we've implemented anything yet.
No, I think a lot of the data side is service management team will go in and say, okay, this one's popular, this one isn't, and kind of try and tweak some of the wording there, things like that. As far as our overall site usage we've seen, we should probably focus on system status and knowledge. So our team is really wanting to put more work into those pieces, and people really seem to want to use those.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I think that's it for us, right?
Yeah.
Here,
Okay.
so I want to just talk to the third-party framework. If you guys are using Bootstrap to do all your sites,
Yeah,
ServiceNow's Bootstrap, your Bootstrap, what did you guys end up doing?
So when we started in July 2014, ServiceNow hadn't implemented Bootstrap. We were still on, I think we just upgraded to Eureka, like maybe a month or two before.
It was Dublin, because remember we had to do Eureka
Oh,
updates.
yeah, it was Dublin.
Yep.
So, yeah, ServiceNow hadn't implemented Bootstrap yet. So we actually imported it. And one of the reasons we chose Bootstrap was it's super easy to use. You can see a little bit of code down here. I find it very easy to understand. I know exactly what's going to happen, and it's easy to design for mobile first, and then kind of work your way up from there. Another nice feature, it's ported on pretty much everything, anything modern. So all phones, all browsers, and so that's another major component as to why we picked that. As Emily said, we did run into some issues with upgrading, especially with the Fuji upgrade, because ServiceNow does now use Bootstrap, so we kind of had to play nice with your guys' Bootstrap. So
right.
What we found is using the important tag really helps, so we can get our branding across.
I think, too, one nice thing for Fuji, too, is we were able to just add a property saying use our Bootstrap versus the out-of-the-box ServiceNow Bootstrap, since we had made some customizations. So that was also a nice feature ServiceNow gives you to kind of choose which CSS files to load in your self-service site.
So nothing you guys couldn't handle, really, is what I'm hearing with the changes in Fuji. Excellent. Excellent. Is there anything else you want to say about the modern design as mobile slide here before we move on?
I mean, it's important, definitely. We had a lot of fun doing it.
Nice.
But you can see through the stats that iOS is definitely one of the big hitters, so it was important to test on lots of devices as well. Yeah, and it's much easier now that ServiceNow uses Bootstrap. It's way easier than it was when we first did it in Dublin. So that's a nice feature as well.
Excellent. So we previewed these and got some of the resizing live in the demo. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip these. But this was all part of what Bootstrap made possible was these different sizings and kind of fluidly moving between them.
Right.
There was a question from the audience here about the categories, and that is, how did you guys determine what these categories are? Like, what was the process for that?
So those are determined by our service management lady. So when we originally did the services, I think probably in 2010, they categorized the services at this level. So we just kind of stole those categories right off the services to put on self-service. I'm not sure if it was existing with our university before that, or if they did some process work there to see what they wanted to do.
Have they been tweaked over time? I know you've done a few versions of the self-service implementation. Like, have you guys seen these kind of evolve, and does that kind of play in part with some of the analytics that you're getting from Google Analytics? Like, do you feed that back to the process lady?
We do feed it back to her. She is active in looking at data and collecting that data. How that influences the top-level categories, I wouldn't
say there's a ton of change. I would say we've gotten more requests to do items for hosted services things. There's definitely a shift towards more work doing cloud stuff.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't expect those top-level categories to change too much. Like, once you get them defined, they're pretty solid. So it's interesting, though, that you're seeing an uptick in the hosting services piece, right? Like, as more things move to hosted models and cloud and whatnot, that you're going to continue to see movement over there.
Yeah. And plus, we're a university, so our services are kind of slow to change. I don't know how fast we are to add new services and whatnot. Like, we aren't a business for profit, so we don't really need to be constantly adding services and whatnot.
Right. So
maybe
do you guys want to talk to some of the key takeaways and lessons learned?
Yeah, so this is kind of Jeff and I talked about what we thought was most important from the project and what we learned, and definitely to be agile, and with that have multiple update sets. So when we first did this, we both worked on one update set, and that ended kind of disastrously. When we tried to move it to a subprod from subprod, lots of things didn't move, things got weird. I think there was like 600 lines in that update set. So we really should have taken the advice of ServiceNow, I think, is use multiple update sets, do multiple versions, take it very slow, don't try and do a whole redesign in one update set. And with that, lots and lots and lots of testing. We had people around us testing. We had students testing. We had SurveyMonkey quizzes, trying to get as many people to look at it with as many different experiences we can gather to see, how did you take this site? What was important to you? Were you able to do these different tasks? And especially usability testing with accessibility. That was super important. And we both agreed you should always design for mobile first. Once you get that small screen to look great, it's a lot easier to get the bigger screen to look great as well. And you really want both of them to be just as usable and not have people, yearning for the desktop version on a mobile site, because that means you haven't done your job right.
It really brought us into the 21st century doing it mobile first, because your phone is not going away. Like, it's going to be the key feature of your life. So you might as well design for it first and then go to what you're used to.
Well, based on those Google Analytics stats, absolutely.
Yeah.
I imagine that just keeps growing. So, excellent. So before I jump into some of the questions from the audience, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Knowledge 16 here, which is coming up May 15th and 20th May 15th through the 20th in 2016 at Mandalay Bay again. Did you guys go to Knowledge last year?
Yeah, Emily and I both presented on self-service last year.
Oh, fantastic! And how was your experience? Did you have a good time when you were there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. We met a ton of people, got to talk about a lot of different stuff with self-service. So it was cool seeing people who had different other things they've built.
And we definitely want to do it again. Like, speaking was awesome.
Excellent. It usually is. It's a kind of an amazing conference in that about 80% or so of our presentations are actually done by our customers, like Jeff and Emily, showing you how they did what they were doing, and providing those insights and lessons learned, and everything from tinkering with ServiceNow to how their process methodologies worked. And speaking of that, now is the time to share your story. It is open submission time, so if you have a presentation that you'd like to give that you think could benefit the ServiceNow customer base, by all means, please submit. You get a complimentary conference pass for doing so. There is pre-conference and on-site presentation support, and it's a great time to actually get out there and do that. So with that, we're going to hop over and, one more slide. This is actually the third part of a series. So we did self-service, largely focused just on the portal with C.H. Robinson. Then we did a knowledge management session with NetApp, really going deep on NetApp's process. And then this presentation, which focused on catalog and self-service. So we're gonna step through and just kind of look at some of the questions here that have come in from the audience. Jeff and Emily, with some of these, you may have answered them already. So if I'm asking a question that you already kind of touched on, we'll kind of move quickly by it. I think the first one is how many programmers do you have working on OSU ServiceNow instance currently?
We have our tool team manager, a lead developer, 3 developers, and a business analyst.
Excellent. Okay. And then the version of ServiceNow that you guys are on? I think it's Fuji.
Fuji patch 10? Patch 8?
8.
I think it's patch 8.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then were there any kind of, so with the design of the page, did you work to a kind of a style guide or branding? What did you guys end up doing to kind of stay consistent and make sure that everything kind of flowed together like that?
Well, the university has a branding website, which we really drew a lot of inspiration from. We're required to use a lot of those styles. So that's kind of what the header, footer, top part is. From that, we did a lot. We like to look at Amazon, Apple, the sites that are really popular, trying to find what's new, what's new in mobile particularly. But the branding site was definitely one of our biggest influences.
Got it. And is there a difference in terms of user experience between what employees see and what students see?
Not particularly. We try to make it the same across the board. And it's more accessible that way. It's easier to keep up. Not having multiple sites, multiple views for different people. It's all the same no matter who you are.
employees have a few more functions like approvals and things like that, but the look is still the same.
Yeah.
Got it. And then with the service portal piece, when you're displaying the services, is that the CMDB CI table back there, and the business services, kind of the service portfolio piece that we're seeing?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the cool part. Everything you saw, everything on our self-service is all powered by ServiceNow. There's nothing external. We're not hosting it somewhere else. It's all the content management application, and it's all coming from ServiceNow. That's really the cool part that I don't think a lot of people realize is it's all ServiceNow.
That does raise one of the other questions that was out there was what were you using for knowledge? Is that also ServiceNow?
Yep. It's all ServiceNow. Every single part of it.
Wow. It really, you guys did a fantastic job. Let's see, a lot more questions about the size of the team, so we're going to kind of skip by those. And are there any automated services that are being provisioned through the self-service portal? So have you guys spent much time with doing automation in the back end?
We have one request item, our software piece, where if you are allowed and don't have to pay for it, you automatically can download that software. If not, there's some approvals in there, which is all still automated. We're really having a push, I think, this upcoming quarter to do a lot more orchestration. So we're very excited to integrate that with our self-service.
We've automated portions of a request item, but most of them still have a manual piece to them. But like Emily said, we definitely had a push from our senior leadership to start automating fully.
Excellent. And this one's related. Have you started to see a drop in the number of people that are actually calling the service desk? Are you guys tracking those stats as well? Like, do you have an idea of kind of the deflection that the self-service portal has achieved since implementing it?
We do keep a record of those stats. The hard thing is we don't have a centralized IT, so we have a bunch of departments in our university. So English has its own IT group, chemistry has their own, and then there's us, the OCIO. So we have been consolidating service desks, so it's a little bit harder to see those calls go down because we are incorporating, so like human resources, we took over their IT, we took over some other departments. So naturally, there's going to be a rise with that. So it's really hard to tell what went down, what went up because of that.
Excellent. And are you guys using chat at all? I didn't see that in the demo, but.
No, we're not using chat right now. We're using a chat that integrates with our phones. Our
call center, yeah.
So, yeah, you can get to that through our self-service. That's probably one of the only pieces that goes elsewhere. But it's on our self-service to chat with the user.
Yeah.
Or with the help desk.
Okay. So one question about the browser versions. What browser versions does it work with? Is there like a lower limit, an upper limit? Do you guys know?
I know it works with IE9 and above. Pretty much, I think Chrome. Man, I can't remember.
Firefox, Safari is fine.
Opera's fine.
For IE8, we do have a message saying this is not compatible. Please use, an alternative browser, which is the only one where we're just like this, it was.
It's too old.
Yeah, and then we were like, okay, should we put the effort in to try and, build out some alternatives for IE8, and then looking at the statistics, it just wasn't, worth it to do.
Yeah, that was another benefit of using Google Analytics. How many people are actually using IE8 trying to access our system? And it was maybe 2 or 3.
It wasn't very many.
No. So that helps us in our decision in supporting it or not.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So one final question: what are you most looking forward to in Geneva?
AngularJS.
Yeah.
AngularJS is going to be so awesome.
Excellent.
Like, we're already implementing it now, but having native ServiceNow support for it is going to be sweet. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, I think it's really going to speed up our development time and make it a lot easier to make really custom and cool JavaScript pieces and stuff. So really excited about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. I appreciate you guys stepping up and demoing and answering our questions, and really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. And audience, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time as well. Have a great day.